1882 साली संपूर्ण भारतातील शैक्षणिक स्थितीची पाहणी करून अहवाल सादर करण्यासाठी तत्कालीन गव्हर्नर लॉर्ड रिपन यांनी भारतीय शिक्षण आयोग स्थापन केला। या आयोगात एकूण 20 सदस्य होते, त्यापैकी 8 सदस्य भारतीय होते। या आयोगाचे अध्यक्ष सर विल्यम हंटर हे होते, म्हणूनच या आयोगाला हंटर आयोग असेही म्हणतात। या आयोगाआधी 1835 साली लॉर्ड मेकॉलेचे घोषणापत्र आणि 1854 साली वुडचे घोषणापत्र येऊन गेले होते आणि त्याचाही मूल्यमापन करण्याचं काम या आयोगाकडे देण्यात आले होते। मॅकॉलेच्या घोषणापत्रात असे सांगण्यात आले होते की शिक्षणाचा पात्रता सिद्धांत त्यांनी मांडला होता आणि या पात्रता सिद्धांतानुसार आधी वरच्या वर्गाला शिक्षण द्यावे आणि ते आपोआप पाझरत खालच्या वर्गापर्यंत पोहोचेल, असा हा मॅकॉलेचा सिद्धांत होता। परंतु महात्मा फुले यांचा यासाठी तीव्र विरोध होता। त्यामुळे 1882 साली जेव्हा हा भारतीय शिक्षण आयोग म्हणजेच हंटर आयोग जेव्हा पुण्यामध्ये आला, त्यावेळेस त्यांनी या आयोगापुढे निवेदन सादर केले। हे निवेदन 19 ऑक्टोबर 1882 रोजी त्यांनी इंग्रजीमध्ये सादर केले होते। ते जसे तसे पुढील प्रमाणे: मेमोरियल ॲड्रेस टू द एज्युकेशनल कमिशनर, अ स्टेटमेंट फॉर द इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द एज्युकेशनल कमिशन. My experience in educational matter is principally confined to Pune and the surrounding village. About 25 years ago, the missionaries had established a female school at Pune, but no indigenous school for girls existed at that time. I therefore was introduced about the year 1851 to establish such a school, and in which I and my wife worked together for many years. After some time, I placed this school under the management of Committee of Educational Native. Under their auspices, 2 more schools were open in different parts of town. A year after the institution of the female school, I also established an indigenous mixed school for the lower classes, especially Mahars and Mangs. More schools for these classes were subsequently added. Sir Erskine Perry, the president of late Educational Board, and Mr. Lumsden, the Secretary of Government, visited the female school and were much pleased. The movement set on foot and presented me with the pair of shawls. I continue to work in them to nearly 9 to 10 years, but owning the circumstances which it was needless here to detail, I succeeded from the work. This female school still exists, having been made over by the committee to the educational department under the management of Mrs. Mitchell. A school for the lower classes, Mahars and Mangs, also exists at the present day, but not the satisfactory condition. I have also been a teacher for some years in a mission female boarding school. My principal experience was gained in the connection with these schools. I devoted some attention also to the primary education available in presidency of, and have had some opportunity of forming an opinion as to the system and personnel employed in the lower schools of the educational department. I wrote some years ago a Marathi pamphlet exposing the religious practices of Brahmins and incidentally among the matters adverse therein to present system of education, which by the providing ample funds for higher education tended to educate Brahmins and the higher classes only, and to leave a masses wallowing in ignorance with the poverty. I summarize the views expressed in the look in English papers attached thereto, portion of which I reduce here. So far they relate to the present equality inquiry. Perhaps a part of the blame in bringing matter to this crisis may be the justly laid to the credit of the government. Whatever may have been their motives in providing ampler funds and greater facilities for higher education and neglecting that of the masses, it will be acknowledged by all that injustice to the latter. This is not as a should be. It is an admitted fact that the greater portion of the revenues of the Indian Empire are derived from the riots, labor, from the sweat of his brow. The higher and richer classes contribute little or nothing to the state's exchequers. A well-informed English writer states that our income is derived not from surplus profit but from capital, not from luxurious but from poorest necessaries. It is the product of sin and tears. The government should expend profusely a large portion of revenue thus raised on the education for higher classes, for it is this only who takes advantages of it. It is anything but just equitable. Their object is patronizing this virtual high class education appear to the prepared school scholar who it is thought would be time when learning without money and without prize. It will be inspire, say they, the love of knowledge in the minds of superior classes. The result will be higher standard or moral in the cases of individual, a large amount of affection for the British government and unconquerable desire for the spirit among their own countrymen, the intellectual blessing which they have received. Regarding this object of government, the writer above alluded to state that we have never heard to philosophy more benevolent and more utopian. It is proposed by men who witness the wondrous changes brought about the Western world purely by the agency of popular knowledge to redress the defect of the 200 millions of India by giving superior education to the superior classes and to them only. We ask the friend of Indian universities to favor us with a single example of the truth of their theories from the instances which has been already fallen within the scope of their experience. They have educated many children of wealthy men and have been the means of advancing very materially the worldly prospect of some of their pupils. But what contribution have been made to the great work of regarding their fellows? How often they begun to act upon the masses? Have any of them formed classes at their own homes or either elsewhere from the instruction of their less fortunate or less wise countrymen? Or have they kept their knowledge to themselves as a personal gift, not to be soiled by the contact with the ignorant vulgars? Have they in any way shows themselves anxious to advance the general interest and repay the philanthropy with patriotism? Upon what grounds is the addressed? What the best way to advance the moral and intellectual welfare of the people in the raise of standard to instruction among the higher classes? The glorious argument this for the aristocracy, where is only tenable to show the growth of national happiness. It will only be the necessary to refer the number of pupils at the colleges and the list academic degrees. Each wrangler would be accounted a national benefactors, and the existence of deans and proctors would be associates, like the game law and the 10-pound franchises with the best interest of the constitution. One of the most glorious tendencies of government system of high class education has been the virtual monopoly of all higher offices under them by Brahmins. If the welfare of the right is the heart, if it is the duty of government to check host of abuses, it behoves them to narrow this monopoly day by day so as to allow sparking of the other castes to get into the public services. Perhaps some might be inclined to say that it is not feasible in the present step education. Our only reply it is that government took a little less after higher education, which is able to take care of itself, and more toward the education and the masses, where would be no difficulties in training up the body of men everywhere qualified and perhaps for the better in moral manners. My object to writing the present volume is not only to tell by Shudra brothers how they has been duped by the Brahmins, but also to open the eyes government to that pernicious system of high class education which has hitherto been so persistently followed, and which statements like Sir George Campbell's, the present Lieutenant Government of Bengal, with board university sympathies, are finding to the high highly mischievous of pernicious to the interest of the government. I sincerely hope that government will are long to see that error of their ways. Trust less to writers or men who look through high class spectacles and take a glory into their own hand the emaciating by the Shudra brethren from the Tamils of bondage which the Brahmin has been woven around them like the coil of serpent. It is no less the duty of each of my Shudra brothers as have received any education to place before government the true state of their followments and endeavors to the best of their power to emancipate themselves from the Brahmin thraldoms. Let there be the school for the Shudras in very village, but away with the Brahmin school masters. The Shudras are the life of sinews of the country, and it is to them alone and not the Brahmins what government must ever look to tide over their difficulties, financially as well as the political. If the hearts and minds of the Shudras are made happy and contented, the British government need to be no fear for their loyalty in the future. The primary education. Is there the little doubt that primary education among the masses in the presidency has been very much neglected? Although the number of primary schools now the existence in the greater than those existing a few years ago, and they are not commensurate to the requirement of the community. Government collect the facial fees for educational purposes, and it is to be regretted that this fund is not spent for the purpose for which it is collected. nearly 9-10 of the villages in this presidency, or nearly 10 lakhs of children, it is said, are without any provision whatever for the primary instructions. A very deal for the a good deal for their poverty, their want to the self reliance, their entire dependences upon the learn and intelligent classes. It is attributed to the deplorable state of education among the pleasantly. Even in the town of the Brahmins, the Parbobs, the heartly classes who generally live by the occupation by pen, and the trading classes seek primary instruction. The cultivating and other classes as a rule do not generally avail themselves for the same. A few of the later class are found the primary and secondary school, but the owing to their poverty and other classes, they do not continue longer at school, as there are no special endorsement for these to continue at the school. They naturally leave for the soon as they find any manual or other occupation. In village also, most of the cultivating classes hold aloof, owning the extreme poverty, and also because they require their children to tend cattle and look after their fields. Beside the increase in the number of school, special endorsement in the shape of the scholarship and half year of annual prizes to encourage them to send their children to the school, and thus create them to taste for the learning. It most essential. I think primary education of the masses should be made compulsory up to the certain age, say at least 12 years. Mohammedans also hold aloof from their schools, as they same how invines no liking in Marathi or English. There are few Mohammedans primary school where in the own language is taught. The Mahars, monks and other lower classes are particularly executed from all schools owing to the caste prejudices, as they are not allowed to sit by the children of the higher castes. Consequently, special school for this has been opened by government, but this exist only in large town. In the whole of Pune, and the population existing over 5,000 people, there is only one school, and in which the attendance is under 30 boys. This state that of matter is not at all creditable to the educational authorities. Under the promises of the Queen's proclamations, I beg to the urge that Mahars, Mang and other lower classes, where the number is large enough, should have separate school for them, as they are not allowed to attend the other school owing to the caste prejudices. In the present state of education, payment of the result is not at all suitable for the promotion for the education among the poor and ignorant people, as no test has yet been created among them education. I do not think any teachers would undertake to open school on his own account among these people, as he would not be able to make living by it. Government school and special endorsement as noted above are essential under such a test in the created among them. With regard to the few government primary schools that exist in the presidency, I beg to observe that the primary education imparted in them is not at all the places on the satisfactory or sound basis. The system is imperfect in so far as it is does not prove practical and useful in the future career for the pupils. The system is capable for the being developed upon to the requirement of the community. If improvement that will be result in the future usefulness be affected in it, both the teachers, both the teaching machinery employed and the course is instructed how followed required in through remodeling. A. The teachers now employed in the primary school are amongst all Brahmins. A few of them are from the normal training college, the rest being all untrained men. Their salaries are very low, seldom existing 10 rupees, as their attainment also is very merged. But as a rule, they are all unpractical men, and the boys who learn under them generally imbibe inactive habits and try to obtain service to the evidence of the hereditary or other hardy or independent professionals. I think teachers for the primary school should be the trained as far as possible out of the cultivating classes, who will be able to mix freely with them and understand their wants to be wishes much better than Brahmin teacher, who generally hold himself aloof under the religious prejudices. This will be moreover exercise a more beneficial influence over the masses than the teacher of other classes, and who will be not feel ashamed to the hold and handle of the plot or the carpenter's aids when required, and who will be able to mix themselves readily with the lower orders for society. The course of training of them out it to be included. Beside the ordinary subject, the elementary knowledge of the agriculture and the sanitation, the untrained teacher should accept when thoroughly efficient be replaced by the efficient trained teacher to secure better class of teacher and improve their position. Better salary should be given. Their salary should not be less than 12 rupees, and it is larger villages should be at least 15 to 20 rupees. Associating them in the village polity as auditors of the village account or register or deeds, or village postmen or stamp vendors would improve their status and thus expert and thus exert to beneficial influence over the people among them they live. The schoolmaster of village schools who pass the large number of boys should also get some special allowance other than their pay as an encouragement to them. B. The course of instruction should consist of reading, writing, Modi and Balbodh and accounts, and the rudimentary knowledge of general history, general geography and the grammar. Also an elementary knowledge of agriculture and a few lessons on moral duties and sanitation. The study in the village schools might be the fewer than those in larger villages and towns, but not be the less practical. In connection with the lessons in agriculture, a small model form where practical instruction to the pupils can be given would be the decided advantage, and it really efficiently managed would productively of the greatest good to the country. The textbooks in use both in the primary and vernacular, both in the primary and vernacular school require revision and recasting as much as they are not practical or progressive in their scope. Lesson of the technical education and morality sanitation and agriculture, and some useful arts should be inter, introspected introspected, among them progressive series. The fees in the primary school should be as 1 to 1 to 2 from the children of cess payable and non cess payers. The supervising agency over the primary school is also very defective and insufficient. The deputy inspector visit once a year can hardly be the appreciable benefits. All the schools ought at least to be inspected quarterly, is not oftener. I would also suggest a advisability of visiting the school at other times and without any intimation being given. No reliance can be placed on the district or village officer among to the multifarious duties devolving on them, as they seldom find time to visit them, and when they do, their examination is necessary very superficial and imperfect. European inspector supervision is also occasionally very desirable, as it is well trained and exercise a very difficulty control over the teacher generally. The number of primary schools should be increased by the utilizing such a indigenous schools as shall be the are conducted by the trained and certified teacher, by the giving them liberal grant in aid, by the making over one of the local cess fund for the primary education alone, by compelling under the statutory enactment municipalities to maintain all the primary school within their respective limits, by an adequate grant from the provincial or imperial funds, prizes and scholarship to be the pupils, and capitalization or other allowances to be the teachers as an encouragement, will tend to the render their schools more efficient. The municipalities in large towns should be asked to contribute whole share of the expense in period on primary school within the municipal areas, but in no case out in the management of the same to be the entirely made over them. They should be under the supervision of educational department. The municipalities should also given granting it to the secondary and private English school, as shall be conducted according to the rule of educational department, where their fund permit such a grant in aid being regulated by the number of boys passed in every year. This contribution from the municipal fund may be made compulsory by statutory enactment. The administration of the fund of primary education should be ordinarily be in the hands of the director of the public instruction, but in the education and intelligence men are appointed on the local or district committees. This fund may safely entrusted to them under the guidance of the collectors of the director of public instructions. At the present, the local boards consist of ignorant and uneducated men such as patels, imandars, sardars and etc. companies who will not be capable to exercising any intelligence control over the fund. Indigenous schools. Indigenous schools consist a good deals in cities, towns and some large villages, especially where the Brahmin populations. From the latest reports of public instruction in the presidency, it is found that there are 1049 indigenous schools with about 27,694 pupils in them. They are conducted on old village system. The boys are generally taught the multiplication table of by heart, a little modi writing and reading, and to the recite a few religious pieces. The teacher, as the rule, are not to be capable of effecting any improvement, as they are not initiated the art teaching. The fees charged in their schools range from 2 to 8 annas. The teacher generally come from the dregs of Brahminical society. Their qualification hardly go beyond reading and writing Marathis very indifferently, and casting account up to the rule of three or so. They set up the teacher as the last resources of getting a livelihood. Their failures or unfitable is their failures or unfitness in order to calling of life obliges them to open school. No arrangement exists in the country to train up teachers for indigenous schools. The indigenous school could not be turned into the good account unless the present teachers are replaced by men from the training colleges and by those who pass the 6th standard in the vernaculars. The present teachers will be willingly accepted state aid, but money thus spent will be thrown away. I do not know any instance in which a grant aid is paid to such a school. If it is being paid anywhere, it must be very rare cases. In my opinion, no grant aid should be paid to the such school unless the master is certified one. But if certified, but it certificated or component teachers be found, granting aid should be given and will be productive of great good. Higher education. The cry over the whole country has been for the some time past that government has employ provided for higher education, where that of the masses has been neglected. To some extent, this cry injustice, although the classes directly benefited by the higher education may not be readily admitted it. But for all this world, no well wishers of the country would desire that government should at the present time withdraw its aid from higher education. All that they would wish in that as one class of the body politics has been neglected, it is advancement should form an anxious concern as that of the others. Education and education in India is still in infancy. Any withdrawal education in India is still in its infancy. Any withdrawal of state aid from higher education cannot but injurious to the spirit of education generally. A test for education among the higher and wealthy classes such as the Brahmins and Prabhus, especially those classes who live in the Spain, has been created, and gradual withdrawal of state aid may be possible for as the classes are concerned, but in the middle and lower classes, among those higher education had been made perceptible progress. Such a withdrawal would be great hardship. In the event of such withdrawals, boys will be obliged to the recourses to inefficient and sectarian schools, much against their wish, and the cause of education cannot be suffer or will not be part of such education be instructed to private agency for a long time to come, and the entire educational machinery, both the ministerial and executive must be the hand of governments. Both the higher and primary education require all the fostering care of attention which government can bestow on it. The withdrawal of government from the school and colleges would not be only tend to the check the spirit of education, but will be serious endanger that spirit of neutrality which has all among been be the aim of government to foster owning the different nationalities and religious creed prevalent in India. This withdrawal may be the certain extent create a spirit of self-reliance for the local purpose in the higher and wealthy classes, but the class of education would be the so far injurious that the spirit of self reliance would be take years of remedy that evils. Educated men of ability who not succeed in the getting into the public service may be induced open the school or higher education on the being assured for the liberal guardian aid, but no one will be readily to the do so on this own account as the mean gaining a livelihood. And it is not doubtful whatever such a private effort could be permanent or stable, nor would be succeed half so well in their result. Private school such as those Mr. Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar and the Mr. Bhave exist in Pune, and with the adequate granting aid may be rendered very efficient, but they can never supersede the necessity of high school. The missionary school, although some of them are very deficient conducted to not succeed half of well their result or not the attract half of number of students which the higher school attract the superiority of government school in mainly owning the richly paid staff of teacher and professors, which is not possible for the private school to maintain. The character of instruction given in the government higher school is not all the practical or such a required for the necessity of ordinary life. It is only good to turn out so many clerks and schoolmaster. The matriculation examination unduly engrosses the attention of the teacher and the pupils, and the course of studies prescribed has been practical elements in it so as to be fit the pupils of his future career in independent life. Although the number of students presenting the entrance examination in it not at all large when the diffusions of knowledge in country is taken into the consideration. It look large when the requirement of government service are conducted, where the educational universal and within easy reach to all. The number would has been larger still, and it will be so, and I hope it is will be hereafter. The higher education should be so arranged as to be the within easily reach of all, and the book of the subject for the matriculation examination should be published in the government gazette as it done in Madras and Bengal. Such a course will be encourage private studies and secure larger diffusions of knowledge in the country. It is boon to the people that the Bombay universities recognition private studies in the case of those presenting for the entrance examination. I hope the university authority will be pleased to the extend their same boom to higher examination. If the private studies were recognized by the universities in the granting the degree of BA, MA and etc., many young men will be devote their time to private studies. Their doing so will be still further tend to the diffusion of knowledge. It is found in many instances quite impossible to prosecute studies at the colleges for the various reasons. if private studies be recognized by the universities, much good will be affected to the country at large, and good deal of drain on the public purse on the account of higher education will be lessened. The system of government scholarship at the present following the government school is also defective, as much as is given undue encouragement to those classes only who have already acquired a taste of education to the determinant of the other classes. The system might be so arranged that some of these scholarships should be awarded to such classes among whom education has made no progresses. The system of awarding them by competition, although the abstractly adequatable, does not tend to the spread of education among these classes. With the regard to the question as the educated natives finding remunerative employments, it will be remembered that the educated natives, who mostly belong to the Brahminical and the other higher classes, are mostly found of services. But as the public service can be offered no field for all the educated natives who come out from school and colleges, and moreover the course of training they receive being not of a technical or practical nature, they find great difficulties in betaking themselves to the other manual or reduce employments. Hence, they cry that the market is overstocked with the educated natives who do not find the remunerative employments. It may to certain extent is true that some of the professions are overstocked, but this does not show that there is no other remunerative employments to which they can betake themselves. The present number of educated men is very small in relation to the country at large, and we trust that the day may not far distance when we shall have the present number of multiplied 100-fold, and all betaking themselves to the useful of remunerative occupations and lot of looking other services. In conclusion, I beg to request the Education Commission to the kind of enough to the sanction measure to spread of female primary education on a more liberal school. Pune, 19 October 1882, Jyotirao Govindra Phule, Merchant and the Cultivator and Municipal Commissioner. तर मित्रांनो, यातल्या काही शब्द जे आहेत मला जड गेलेले आहे, कारण त्यावेळची इंग्लिश आहे, यातले काही डिफिकल्ट वर्ड आहे, ते बोलताना थोडा मला त्रास झालेला आहे, तेवढं समजून घेसाल. आणि तुम्हाला कसं वाटलं नक्की याविषयी कमेंट करा. तुम्हाला यातलं काय समजलं ते पण तुम्ही कमेंट मध्ये सांगा, आणि चॅनलला नक्की सबस्क्राईब करा. जय ज्योती जय क्रांती.